When you found the unicorn, aka the ideal female partner, how far should one go? The ideal.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
How far
The
should
role
one
plays that I get into in my personal relationships and the horse costuming and nose cones that may involve, I'm pretty sure I had tried to keep off the cloud in terms of the video production. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, when you found the unicorn, how far should one go in order to quote unquote give it their best shot without crossing any kind of lines, being too dramatic, stalking, aka that kind of thing?
Stalking. Okay. All right. No, it's a good question. Good question. Listen, have you found this mythical beast? Is it
Well, I sent in the question 2 months ago, and well,
did you blow it?
No, the beast was scared away. You know, I set up my booty trap. You know, had the net. All of that was good to go, but something scared it off. I don't know what.
Maybe a reference to a woman as it. Oh, you mean the unicorn, right? Okay. Got it. Got it.
All
right.
Well, before we continue, first of all, I'd like to thank you for accepting me onto this show, Stefan Molyneux. This show is a great intellectual tool, and it definitely helps me prepare myself for adulthood and the coming great decisions of my life.
Well, thank you. Because I'm paranoid, all I heard was you call me a tool. But I appreciate the sentiment as a whole. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very, very kind words. So, can you give me a scenario where this would be going down? So you meet a woman, and she's rational, and she's empirical, and she's mature, and she's committed to self-knowledge, and all these kinds of things. That's sort of what you're talking about, right?
Yes. And when it comes to starting to get in contact, you know, I'm 19, right? So I'm in the dating phase of my life, and I've been doing it for 2 years now. So, but without any great success, been in the gray zone for multiple times, but never been able to make it into the next stage. Okay, so the scenario would be that you start getting in contact with someone, and you like to get to know them a bit more. And you don't know how much. Since you're a guy, right? I'm a guy, so I am always the initiator of conversations and the driving force that, you know, develops the relation, because
well, because ... you know, lots of biological evolution and
yes.
So on. Yeah, the woman's job is to open the gallery. Your job is to pay to get in. But okay, yeah. More or less.
But I need to somehow balance it so that I don't go too far. But hey, why? Sometimes they wonder why you're asking all these questions, because you're not actually contributing that much to the conversation, and I like to know more about you. But
oh, you do. So you do sort of a rational, emotional cross-examination analysis of her potential carrier of rational eggs.
Yes.
Is that okay? Got it. Got it.
So, you know, we'd like to know more about you.
I think I've got the new name. I think I got the new name for the Free Domain Radio dating site. But
right. Nice. Except it's not.
Okay, so can you give me the kind of questions? Okay, let's pretend that I am some highly evolved, rational, emotive, philosophical cutie. What would you ask me? Hi, I'm reasonable.
All right. Already know your name. Already know your age, and so. What did you do?
My name is. Can I tell you? You don't know my name. My name is Socrates.
I'll just call you Lucy.
Okay.
That's better than Griselda.
Griselda was the last one.
Oh, God.
Show your mojo on Griselda, who I pretty much thought was a character out of the old BC comic strip. But anyway. Okay, right. So I'm Socrates, which means I'm cheesy and I'm easy, but go on.
Have you done anything particularly or noteworthy in the last few days? No.
I certainly have. I've been working on two things: a hot yoga and a deconstruction of Kantian ethics.
Oh, that's great. I've not been doing anything related to that at all. But on the other hand, hard to take this serious. But
No, what would you ask? Because you're
first
perceived
of
as
all,
interrogating, right,
yeah.
and not participating.
Yeah. First, I'd ask if she's been doing anything exciting or anything particular or noteworthy in the last days or weeks. Then I would go on to ask some more intimate questions, like, for example, have you ever donated to support certain causes, like helping the Horn of Africa, or
Have you ever donated to the Horn of Africa?
yeah, like being a world conscious person, because that's a very important value, right?
Okay. Would you like to donate to my Horn of Africa? I'm sorry, just kidding.
Stop it, Steph.
I'll take you the long way around the coast, baby. I'll be lapping it up like the deep sea itself. Okay, so have you donated to a particular cause? Sounds like you're about to hit her up for another donation to that cause. So are you trying to get at something? Are you trying to get at, like, is she interested in international politics or?
Yes.
Okay.
Or just being a world conscious person.
Why can't you? Why can't either A, why can't you ask her that directly, or B, why can't you talk about things that you're interested in and see if she has any clue what you're talking about? It seems kind of oblique, like it's a roundabout way to try and get some information that you want.
Yeah, it's like, you kind of try to prepare the questions with. But it's just.
All right, let me ask it to you another way. Is it really, like, number one on your list of potential life partners that they have a interest in international politics?
Well, it's. I think it's a different. I think it's an important one that you shouldn't deny, and it does say a lot about the person. Like, if you're a world conscious person, that means you have a drive force for change, or you care about
donating to political causes is having a driving force for change. Well, I'm not sure about that, but I sort of get that sort of a mainstream
Yes.
view. Okay, so give me your top 3 things, not like and not so specific.
Okay.
As international
Right.
politics or whatever, right? But give me your top 3 things that you'd want out of a potential life partner.
Well, the first, except for the physical attraction part, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have to take it for granted that you can't find her like something out of the Fiend
Yeah, of
folio.
course.
Okay, so all right, what else?
The first would be to. Oh yeah, I actually wrote this down. To be
Hopefully
able to
not on your sweaty
openly
hand while you're asking the woman this
discuss
question.
ideas, to be able to take in new ideas and able to have discussions without being feeling offended or aggressive. Just like being able to fully be able to have an open discussion and not be offended.
Okay.
Able to share ideas.
So I mean, a good way to do. Yeah. So hang on. So you and I know I just asked you for 3 things. So I'm completely wrong to interrupt you. So discuss ideas, and can you get to the second one?
Okay. So the second one would be to It would be to be more about on the right scale of on the political view, because even if you're open to discussions, it can still be a little difficult to talk to someone who is like far leftist, right? Even though
far left political correctness is all about substituting offense for counter argument, but
yeah, so I've always had some difficulty with talking with these women,
Okay, so hang on, we've got be hot, discuss ideas, and right leaning, which is fine.
Yes.
And what else?
And also, no, what else? have a. It would be also like having a healthy lifestyle, like believing that you really shouldn't smoke, you shouldn't be eating too much sugar, or all of those things, right?
Right.
And do some exercise a little now and then, and not basically treating yourself like garbage
All right.
for the sake of short-term satisfaction,
Right.
like candy or something.
Right. Right. Okay. Would you like any feedback on this list?
Feedback on this list? Sure.
Yeah. Would you like any feedback on this list?
I would like some feedback on this list. Yes.
That's my feedback on this list. Because there's nothing about virtue here. Nothing. Be hot, discuss ideas, right-leaning, healthy lifestyle, with some exercise thrown in. None of that has anything to do with exercise. I'm sorry, with the exercise of virtue, with virtue itself.
All right.
A younger Sailor Palin would probably fit into that conversation. So the question is, what is your dick for? And it's a very, very important question, right? And your dick, because you're basically saying to your dick, what are we looking for here, right? And the reason I say you're talking to your dick is because these would be fine for male friends too, right? I mean, other than the be hot thing, which would be, I guess, useful if they're going to be your wingman. But you could look for a male friend who's going to discuss ideas, who's right-leaning, who's into a healthy lifestyle, and so on, right? So none of this is specific to your penis. That's my concern.
Good point.
So what is your penis for? Why do you have a penis? I'm not trying to be annoying or insulting. It's a very, very important question. It sounds like a funny question. It's a very, very important question.
Oh, no, it's...
What is your penis for? Is it for fun?
No, to reproduce and to spread, to preserve my genes and, my heritage, so they will pass on to the future generations.
Your penis is, first of all, it's to give you a great tennis grip when you're a teenager. But secondly, your penis is there so you can make other penises and vaginas, so that they can make other penises and vaginas and so on, right?
Yeah,
your penis is there. Yeah, your penis is there to make babies. That's the only reason it's fun. That's the only reason it gives you tingly bits. It's the only reason that I guess everyone switched from Speedos to long pants when you couldn't hide your boners anymore. That is why you have a penis. Now, your penis does not discuss ideas. Your penis is not right-leaning, or if it is, you should probably see a doctor. And your penis gets exercised, but itself does not exercise. I guess too much, right? And the reason I'm saying all of this is that you have a penis so that you can make babies. And you should be choosing not the cranker of your penis, but the mother of your children. Now, the mother of your children, I would recommend, would have certain virtues that you should be looking for. In other words, you choose your partner based upon the best wishes of unrealized children. Don't let your penis choose your partner. Let your future children produce your partner, because that's the only goddamn thing the penis is fundamentally for. So, just to put yourself in this mindset, if you could imagine being your future child who could pick up a really long-distance iPhone, give you a call and say, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. This is who I want you to impregnate. These are the characteristics I want my mom to have. What would that kid say you should be looking for?
You should look for the most beautiful, virtuous woman you can find, and just go for it.
Yeah, okay, that's like saying you should get a high-paying job that you like. That's not particularly helpful. What are the virtues that you should be looking for?
Oh wow.
What does your future baby and toddler and tween and teenager, what do they want?
Maybe.
I'm sorry?
Not non-abuse principle. Follow it, for example.
Non-abuser?
Yes, non-abusive,
Oh,
not use any
wait.
violence or so.
Look,
You know, the
man,
kid would love that.
Hang on. This is what you come up with. Non-abuser? That's like girlfriend pulse. I mean, sorry. I mean, non-abuser is not exactly a crowning virtue. I mean, I guess it's nice, necessary, but not sufficient. But what does your future kid want his or her mom to be like?
Be caring.
Ah, beautiful. Okay. Caring. Now, what does that
Be
mean?
loving, caring.
Loving, caring, empathetic?
Yes.
Empathetic, okay. A good teacher? I don't mean like school teacher, but like a good instructor. An instructor in virtue, an instructor in love, an instructor in closeness, an instructor in listening, a good negotiator, right? Somebody who's humble, but somebody who is firm when she's in the right, but without being aggressive.
Yes.
Okay. See. Now we're starting to get more than. I don't frankly think that your future kids are going to give one tiny rat's ass about which international causes the woman donated to 20 years ago, right? See, now we're starting to cook. Now, I would also argue that the things that make a woman a good mother are the things that make a woman a good partner.
Yeah. These points, well, very important, very valid. I just skipped them kind of subconsciously and just took them for granted. Of course, it's going to be included when you look. I didn't actually think of them directly. So the
question is, how do you find out whether the woman is caring, empathetic, a good negotiator, a good teacher, a gentle, calm, patient, and so on?
It's something you notice by being intimate with them.
What do you mean by being intimate?
Talking, or being in their presence, having activities, just anything that builds the relation between the two people.
Right. So the question now is, how are you going to find that out about a woman that you're interested in? Because I want virtue to be the giant jugs on women these days. I want virtue to be the high heels, the Dolce & Gabbana. I want virtue to be the ass implants on women. Right? In other words, I want men to get as turned on by virtue as I am. Where the pull out in the magazine is not some I don't even know if I want to say it. Some naked woman, let's say, but instead is a thesis of the sensitivity and courage and compassion and humor of her heart. I want women to be rewarded for being virtuous, so that Cosmopolitan and I don't know what, Marie Claire and other, they're not just about how to make yourself more physically attractive, but here's how to improve the quality of your heart so you can get the best man.
Yeah.
Because too many guys are letting the media plus the penis choose the partner. And I'm not above this. I get it. I'm not like floating on Zen, but I don't care if the most virtuous heart is encased in a 19-year-old Amazonian woman's shrunken chest. I'm still turned. I get this biological imperatives and all, but we're talking, you're 19, right? You're not going to be dating, like, this isn't Harold and Maude territory. I can be dating some 80-year-olds, right? So I want men to be turned on by virtue in women, so that women focus more on virtue than lipstick. Because lipstick does fuck all for the kids, but virtue will raise a generation of healthier, peaceful, voluntary, free children, which is my goal. I want to use your penis to produce rational people. But in order to do that, I need to have those future rational people choose who your penis hits.
Point taken.
All right. How are you going to find Virtue. How are you going to measure virtue in a woman?
Well, I suppose you could ask them. No, not ask them. No, you just have to notice it by going on a date with them, or just talk to them.
No, don't need to wait that long. Let me give you the first couple of sentences my wife and I ever
maybe
spoke to each other.
Or
I got a sec.
right.
I'll give you the first couple of sentences. I remember them very clearly. The first couple of sentences my wife and I said to each other. And she is gorgeous. And anyway, but she doesn't dress like she was wearing a T-shirt. She was, when we met playing volleyball 13 or 14 years ago.
All right.
And she doesn't play up her figure. She doesn't play up her looks. And anyway, so she asked me, we'd been playing together on the team for a couple of weeks, and she asked me how my week was. And I said, fantastic. I just got my first novel published. And she said, wow, that's impressive. I've never known anyone who writes a novel. I'd like to have a look. Would you like me to have a look at it? Or would you mind if I had a look at it? And I said, no. In fact, that's the last thing that I'd want. I would never, ever want you to look at it. I was just joking with her. And she said, oh, no, that reverse psychology won't work on me. I practice psychology. Which was, obviously to me, delightful in that, she was interested in what I had to say. She was curious to have a look at my book. And she also was very playful and assertive in her response to my making a joke, which I found delightful and continue to find delightful even more so many, many years later. Now, that doesn't have to go any particular way, but there are some things to look for that will really work. And, one of them, of course, is, for God's sakes, man, stop interviewing and be yourself. Be yourself. Because any relationship you enter into under false pretenses will burn you up and burn you out and exhaust you into ashes. It's like, yeah, so you have to be yourself, because anybody who prefers who you're not is, first of all, false themselves and will never get into who you really are. So you're basically going to have to just pretend.
Sure.
It's like joining a sorority, right? You can never pee standing up. If you're a guy, you join a sorority, you can never pee standing up again for the rest of your time there, right?
Of course, I'd like to show myself and be who I am, but I always had to be the initiator so many times. Every time, always. It's going to go somewhere. I have to somehow initiate it and start.
No, you don't. Hey, look, first of all, I get that most guys ask women out, so I get all of that. I understand that, but the reality is that if you are always taking initiative, the only people you will find in your life are passive people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, but all right.
You are creating an environment that is only going to bring passive people into your life. If you're doing all the peddling, if you're doing all the pushing, and you're pouring all the energy in, all you're going to get are passive people and parasites.
All right, but I feel a need to find. I feel a great need already to find a great woman that I can get in a stable relationship. But probably because I've never really actually been in a long, stable relationship. I've always been in the gray zone at best. And I don't want to wait. I've been trying for 2 years now,
But that's because you don't want anyone like your mom, right?
Don't want anyone like my mom.
Right.
Hey, no, that's not true.
Wait, so you do want someone like your mom?
Yeah, she's a great woman. And she's a Californian chick that my dad brought home like a Viking. Yeah.
Okay, so you want someone like your mom, right?
Yes. Yes.
So then how on earth can this be so complicated? It's like you're saying to me, I don't know how to speak English, but I grew up in a family that spoke English, right? So how could this, if you want someone like your mom, then do what your dad did, take his advice, figure out, like talk with your mom, and I'm sure, I mean, so you've had 19 years of interacting with your mom, so find
Yes.
someone you can interact with as easily as your mom, and I don't know why it's so complicated then. Like, I didn't want someone who was like my mom, so I had to do a lot of inventing the wheel and changing things around and turning around the supertanker, which of course is my nickname for my penis, but that's just another story, mostly because it leaks oil a lot. But and there's a strange affinity for coral reefs and drunken sea captains. Anyway, that's another story entirely.
Yeah.
But I wanted someone
complexities-
different from my past, so I had to do a lot of reinvention. But if you want someone like your mom, then it should be a whole lot easier, I think, than it seems, right?
No, because there isn't a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of people that are like my mom. At least not here.
Well, but but see, that's why it should be even easier. That's why it should be even easier, because then you should be able to very quickly identify who's not like your mom, right? Right. So, in other words, if I'm looking for a needle in a haystack, then it's going to be easy for me to identify everything that's not a needle, right?
Everything. Yes.
I don't have to date a piece of hay for 3 weeks to find out if it's a needle or not, right?
Yeah.
I just have to look at it or maybe touch it or whatever, right? But I don't have, like, it's very easy then. I'm not saying it's quick, right? It still may take me a long time to find the needle in the haystack, but it's not like I've got to ask all these questions, right? So it may be as simple as, look for, because there's this weird thing, right? And this sort of comes out of Freud, right? And the whole reasons for this very, very quickly. So, Freud started looking into dreams, the unconscious, and so on, because when he was doing his early therapy sessions in the late 19th century, all these men and women were coming and saying, well, I was raped as a child. I've been sexually abused, because it was apparently, well, it's endemic throughout human history, the sexual abuse of children. You can go to psychohistory.com for more on this. Sexual abuse of children, endemic throughout history. And then when Freud started to uncover the sexual abuse of children, he got a lot of threats from all the pedophiles in his sort of late 19th century Viennese society. And so he changed his theory. He backed off his theory. He gave up. He betrayed the children. And what he said was, well, all these women who claimed that they were raped by their father or their mother, like, so the girls who say, well, I was raped by my father, it kind of actually happened. So they must have fantasized it. And that's where the Electra complex came out of, that girls secretly want to have sex with their fathers or whatever. And for the boys who were raped or sexually molested by their mothers, he said, well, it can't really have happened. They must just have an unconscious desire to have sex with their own mothers. So when I say, well, look for a woman like your mom, people are like, oh, that's creepy. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not. If you have a mom who's a great partner, the whole point of sexuality in the tribe is to imprint upon what is sexually successful within the tribe. Your father was sexually successful by definition. Your mother was sexually successful by definition. And so doing what your father did to get a woman like your mother is exactly how sexuality should work if you have good relations with your mother and your father, in my opinion. And I think there's good reasons for that. So if you have someone that you know very well for 19 years who was, sexually successful like your mom, who has qualities that you like and admire and respect, and she's virtuous and she's, then find someone like your mom. That's not some weird Oedipal thing or anything like that. It's just, if your dad is really great in business and you're starting a business, you talk to your dad, right? That's not an Electra complex. That's like, well, that works, right? So are there just no women around like your mom at all?
They're hard to find.
Have you found it?
Well, yeah, I've been to, few. But
have you talked to your dad about how he found your mom?
Yes, I have, actually.
And what did he say?
And, well, the first thing he saw was not her face. um,
She's not a
it was
Kardashian, is she?
Yeah,
Just
it
kidding. Go on.
was. From what I heard, he first saw her ass and walked up and started talking with her, and it was they had this. You said you had tennis, like you met through tennis with your wife. They met through a German
volleyball,
course.
but anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
They went through what?
German. They went
German
on a
course.
German course. Yeah.
Right.
Abroad, so it was in Austria. But what really got them close was that she was running out of currency, and at that time, and he would, being a very tall, handsome guy to lean upon, and it turned out very well that when they started to when they had this interest in each other, like he thought she were really gorgeous, and he
Well, hang on. Wait a second here. I'm sorry, I'm just not able to connect these dots. I'm maybe my limitation, so please bear with me. So your father noticed your mom's ass first,
That's what I've heard.
and then that she was gorgeous, and she needed money, and he was tall and handsome.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
this
they
sounds
were on a
more
German
like
course.
something out of a Tennessee Williams play than
Yeah, well, and then
the virtuous connection play.
well, it turned out they were a very good fit when they once get to know each other.
I'm sorry,
It
they
was
were
the-
very what?
They were a very good fit once they get to know each other.
Mm-hmm. And are you tall and handsome as well?
Well, I'm not. I'm. When it comes to the physical attraction scale, I'm 1 meter 72 centimeters, so relatively tall, but not tall in my country. No, not that. Slightly below average in my country.
Mm-hmm.
And
physical looks?
physical,
I mean-
yeah,
And physical looks?
physical looks is pretty good. I have chestnut blonde long hair, and I have, yeah, it's a pretty good face. And this body figure,
More Bruce Jenner than Kardashian. No, I'm just kidding. But go on.
body figure it's slightly overweight. I have more of the endomorph body figure.
Yeah. Okay.
But other than that, I've been hearing when my friends asked me when I told them I've been dating this girl, so they wonder how the hell have you not been able to find a French relationship when you've basically got it all. You're a really great guy. You have a great big open heart. You are just a really. How have you not been able to find a relationship when you're always dating? Always searching and.
Okay.
You see,
so let me ask you. Sorry to interrupt. Let me ask you a question then. So we came up with a list of virtues: caring, empathetic,
Yes.
good teacher, good listener,
yes,
patient and understanding and intelligent and all that,
Yeah.
emotionally sensitive, assertive, and so on. How does your mother rate along this scale?
empathetic, caring, slightly lacking in the intellect, not so much of a teacher or not a teacher or more of a one that you learn from. Not to say that she's unable to, but it's lacking. More.
So, dude, do you know why I'm going to stop you here? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Fine, go ahead.
The first thing, as far as I understand it, that you said at the beginning of the conversation, not directly but indirectly, was the first thing that you try to figure out with a potential partner, a woman, is her interest in international causes and other things that would indicate higher intelligence or an interest in abstract reasoning and so on.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you say that your mother is lacking in intellect, I'm not saying she's dumb or anything like that, but if you were to be your dad asking these questions of your mom that you're asking of these women now, all those years ago, would you even be here?
Huh.
See, the reason I'm asking this is you say, well, I want someone just like my mom, but I'm asking kinds of questions that would have had my mom screaming for the hills if I'd met her 30 years ago. So which is it? If you want someone like your mom, then do what your dad did. But if you're asking these kinds of questions that would not be something that your mom would have responded to when she was a young woman, then you don't want someone like your mom, at least at your current state of mind. And I think it's that contradiction that is probably at the root of your lack of success in this area. Let us say it together. But do you see what I'm getting at? I mean, you're a smart guy, right? This is pretty high-level stuff, but
yes. When I look for women or some potential partners, okay, I always set some like these have some standards like does she fulfill I'm studying to become a programmer, so I think in programming terms, like does she fulfill these requirements? Is she virtuous, or is she nice? Is she funny, or like all of these things? And how well does she fulfill these different requirements? And maybe I put.
You just dodged the whole mom thing like really well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going off into programming algorithm land, right?
Yeah.
So we just dropped the whole mom thing like a hot potato, right? Good job. Well played. I thought we were playing basketball. Suddenly we're on the moon, right?
I just find the dating difficult, and
now you're dodging again. No, you're dodging again, man. You're dodging again. I'm not telling you you're wrong. Do you want someone like your mom? Then stop asking these questions that would have driven your mom away. If you don't want someone like your mom, that's fine too. But then figure out what you want. But right now, you're basically showing up to a golf game with a tennis racket. Because you're saying, well, I want someone like my mom, because I'll ask all these questions that never would have gotten me my mom if I were my dad. So your mind and your heart are in opposite directions, which means you're not going to have the consistency and solidity and essence of alphaness that is, people, what's the alpha? The alpha is not big chest thumping crap. Otherwise, I'd be telling people to go work out. I mean, work out fine, but the alpha is a minimum of contradictions. A minimum of contradictions. The real alpha is a maximum of self-knowledge. Because through self-knowledge, you eliminate contradictions. You resolve contradictions. You gain closure on contradictions. You're not at war with yourself. And when you are not at war with yourself, you are the ultimate alpha. Okay, now, so that's for good and for evil. Right? So Hitler took his weaknesses and projected them onto others and then slaughtered them.
All right. Well,
right. So hang on. So he was without contradictions in his public persona because he split and projected and attacked. So being without contradictions can be evil too. But if you are not in alignment with yourself, if you are going one way, the other way, then you're like someone who's trying to do a bicep curl by flexing both the bicep and the tricep at the same time. It won't work. So if you want sexual success, you need to get in alignment with yourself. Now, it means that you want someone like your mom or you want someone who's not like. I don't mean the opposite of your mom. That's not necessarily true either. You want someone like your mom, then stop all of this crap that would have driven away your mom and do what your dad did. And then you'll be in alignment with that. But then you'll get someone like your mom. If that's what you want, be in alignment with that. Don't do all this other crap that you're doing. I don't mean that it's all crap, but it's crap relative to wanting someone like your mom, who had a nice ass, is not super bright, and wanted money. Or needed money. And I'm not. That may sound insulting. I don't mean that to be insulting.
No,
yeah,
no,
I don't
it's
mean.
not.
Yeah, I don't mean this to be insulting. I'm simply pointing out.
Yes.
But if you want someone who's not like your mom, who's into all of these international causes and philosophy and is right leaning and whatever it is, right? Then recognize that you want someone who's different from your mom, which is no disrespect to your mom. It just means that, kids are different and you can have different preferences. I mean, I wanted something different from my mom or the opposite of my mom because of moral issues. You can want something different from your mom for non-moral issues, just particular preferences, right? So get in alignment with what you want, because right now you're telling me one thing, but you're doing another. I'll shut up now, but just deal with this, what I'm saying. Just don't take me off on another tangent. I'll be happy.
When I search for a relationship, I want to feel equality, and one thing that I want to feel equal to was on an intellectual level, but I'm not so sure anymore.
Do you feel that with your mom, that you're equal on an intellectual level?
No.
And that's good. I mean, that's a good thing to know. It's a great thing to admit. And again, there's no disrespect to anyone in the family, but so you do want something that's different from your mom.
I guess so, yeah. Yes. She's great and was a great fit for my dad, but I want to find a partner that I can feel intellectually equal on, which
means both teaching and learning, right? And there's no such thing as intellectual equality, just by the by. I mean, I really want to be clear about that. Like, okay, so you can be you can be the two best golfers in the world. Is it always going to be a stalemate? Are you always going to get exactly the same score?
No, not at all.
No, pretty much. I mean, you will occasionally, but pretty much one of you's going to win, and then the other one's going to win, and then it's going to even out because you're both of equal. But they're not. I mean, they're not equal because one of them is going to win and one of them's going to lose. It's going to alternate. But what that means is that they can continue to learn from each other. You learn by dealing with the best. You learn by competing with the best, which is why I set my sights incredibly high, because I want to achieve the very best that I can achieve. And I'm not going to get that by aiming at the middle. I aim to take on the greats in philosophy. I don't aim to do better than Dear Abby. No disrespect to Dear Abby, but you know what I mean, right?
I do.
So if you want someone who's intellectually equal, it means that you have to be willing to submit to her expertise. And she will then submit to your expertise. And that submission sounds bad, like dominance and submission. But it's not.
It doesn't.
You gain power through submission. Like if you want to build a bridge, submit to physics and engineering, and you'll get the bridge. If you don't, you'll get God knows what, right? So if you're going to look for an intellectual equal, look at someone who's superior. Within about 10 or 15 seconds of me talking to my wife, she had won. She had correctly identified that I was making a joke using reverse psychology, and she told me that wasn't going to work because she had superior knowledge, infinitely superior to knowledge to me, almost, in the area, because that's her field, right? And so,
yes.
So she was in charge. She was, quote, the dominant one in that interaction. And I was delighted to submit to her expertise and happy to receive the instruction and delighted that she one-upped me and did it beautifully. And, that sense of humor, that assertiveness, and that has all been a delightful part of who she is ever since. And so I know what you mean, like intellectual equals, I completely get that. but that involves 50% submission. Right? Does that make sense?
Well,
Like if the two best golfers is going to be 50% losing. It's just that's the lowest. That's the lowest. That's the highest losing they'll get, right?
Yeah, I love
because
to get
everyone else
my,
they're going to win 99% of the time.
yeah.
Right. This is the lowest winning they could possibly get and the highest losing they could possibly get with each other, and that's what it means to be in a relationship of equals. That it's the most submission that you can achieve.
Yeah, but
that you can both achieve.
Yeah, but then it's down to a very small.
No, but let me tell you why, and before you rush off on your fucking intellectual jetpack, right? The reason I'm saying this is you keep telling me basically that you have to initiate and you want to be in charge and you want to drive the conversation and you're interviewing people and you're trying to figure out, you're a dominant, right?
Yes.
And you say you want an equal, right?
Yeah, I do.
But you can't be dominant and want an equal. This is why it's not working for you, my friend. I speak for your penis. I speak for your seed. Right? It's not. Is your father dominant and more assertive with your mom? Is he running the conversation? I don't mean is he a bully. I don't mean anything like that.
Oh,
Does he take more initiative? Does he kind of call the shot, so to speak?
He's
and
the
it's
first
not
one
a positive or negative.
He's the first to bring the ideas to the table to be discussed.
He takes more initiative. He takes
Yes.
more initiative. Is that? I don't want to frame it in a negative way. I'm really not trying to do that. So he's a little bit more dominant. He's a bit more assertive. He's a bit more he initiates more, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if this is the habit that you've got from your mom, and this is where, from your dad, then this is the challenge, right? So you've got these habits from your dad, which is take initiative, take charge, frame the conversation, but at the same time you say, well, but I don't want someone like my mom. I want an intellectual equal. But that doesn't work. That approach will not work.
All right.
To get you an intellectual equal, right?
I follow
you understand what I'm saying, right?
I do, and I'd like to add that I follow my dad's footsteps very closely. I want to be like my dad.
Get ready for Mom Mark II, right? But if you don't want Mom Mark II, then you have to change your approach, right? Because you're doing what got your dad your mom, but you don't want someone like your mom, or at least you want some of the good aspects, but there's other things that you want as well, right? And if you don't know all of that, if you don't know all of that, then it's like you're practicing, again, I hate using all these mixed metaphors, but it's like you're practicing a tennis serve while holding a golf club. That's great for tennis, but you're holding a golf club. And if you're playing golf, there's no serving in golf, right? At least I've never seen it.
So, okay. And it's just that it may be a little now off the track, but
I would expect nothing less from Redirectobot. But anyway, go on.
You, Stefan, you dated for a long time yourself, right?
Yes.
And it took that time until you found, your match, your future equal, your partner.
Yeah.
And did you not struggle, question yourself or have, struggle on an emotional level? It's that you fail repeatedly to find a great woman and.
No, listen, man, I was so clueless. I wasn't even in the realm of failure. It's like watching watching me date was like watching a 2-year-old attempting to stack blocks on each other and saying he's failing to build a building. No. I wasn't even competent enough to be in the realm of failure. This is partly why I talk about this kind of stuff on this show, is, empathy for the kind of instruction that I sure as hell wished that I had received when I was younger. So, but I will tell you this. Very, very important part of life. I was just thinking about this today, coincidentally. So I'm not trying to shoehorn this in, but this is very important, I think. I hope. So I was watching some snowboarders today. You know what that is, right?
Snowboarders.
Yeah. I don't know where you come from in the world, or then don't tell me. Do you know what? It's like skateboard.
No.
It's like a giant skateboard without wheels on snow.
Oh yeah, I do
And
recognize it.
it's a way for young people to say, my bones knit easily, and certainly more easier than you middle-aged people who ski, right?
All right. Gotcha.
And so snowboarding, they do this. I mean, they do this half pipes and all this kind of stuff, where there's this gully, this bowl. It's like half a tube. I guess it's a sewage pipe or a tube, and you cut the top half off, you fill it with snow. So they do all that kind of crap, right? And they do this thing where they go up and they go sideways on pipes, and then they go down. And it's sort of like when I watch skateboarders from time to time as well. It's really stupid stuff. And I like stupid human tricks. I mean, I think it's cool that people can do like triple flips when they go skiing and shit like that. And it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not hating on it or anything like that. But it's really, compared to philosophy and virtue and being a good human being, it's pretty stupid shit. And I was watching these guys that they go across this pipe, and then they go down. And it's like watching these goddamn... Oh, people are going to hate me for this. But so what? I'm just telling you what. I'm not trying to give you any philosophical arguments. I'm just giving you a perspective. And hopefully, it's like watching those kids with the skateboards, I want to be able to rotate it 3 times and then come down on the top. Why? Come on. There's great books to read. You could go write a haiku. You could learn a language. You play guitar. Like, oh, look, I go up on the curb, it flips 2 times. If I can do it 3 times, that's better. And it's like the Rubik's Cube guys when I was a kid. Look, I can solve the Rubik's Cube, but look, I'll just take the labels off, man. Like, I mean, it's stupid shit. It really is. And so much of life, we go in pursuit of this unbelievably stupid stuff. And we all have this fantasy, right? Like you see these spy movies, right? And the spy... And the spy in the spy movies is like this annoying fucking know-it-all, right? Because he's like, aha, we parachute. I'm an expert parachuter. I can land directly on this jet ski. I can go the jet ski at Mach 12, and I can circumnavigate all of these rocks, and I can use it to jump up on the pier, and then I land on a motorcycle, and wouldn't you know it, I'm an expert motorcyclist, and then I stop at a Parisian restaurant, and I order my meal in fluent French, and then, it turns out that we have to run into a Cessna. Yeah, and then we have to go into a Cessna, and don't you know, I can blindfold myself and still fly a plane simply by using sonar to figure out the precision of the instruments and where they actually are. And then it turns out that I'm an expert scuba diver who can wrestle a shark. And like all this kind of stuff, right? And we all have this fantasy that, well, I'm on this date, you see, and we go to this bar, and there are these tough guys playing pool. And she's like, I'd like to play some pool. And you put your money down on the pool table. And then you basically say, it's all right, boys. If I get to go first, you won't even need to pick up your cues. And you break. And then you put all of the balls into the pockets, one after another, and everyone's jaw drops. And you're Tom Cruise in that stupid movie about pool. Look, it's exciting. The balls are moving. It's a different kind of movie that's exciting. And we all have this fantasy that everything we do And then it's karaoke night. And wouldn't you know, I go up and do a fantastic Frank Sinatra. And it turns out someone has a guitar. And then I do Stairway to Heaven. And I sound great. And I look great. And next thing you know, like just really great. And it's just incredible. Like in the book, which is basically a graphic novel, a pop-up book of really bad porn, 50 Shades of Grey. And this guy, a Christian, I think his name is, just to bring in the Catholic girls. But this guy is like, he's really rich. He's a really successful businessman. He plays piano beautifully. He's really great at sex. He has a six-pack. It's like, pick one, man. Come on. If you want to be really great at business, you're not doing sit-ups. If you're really great at piano, you can't also be really great at everything else because piano costs time and most people have to sleep. And so the reason I'm saying all of this is that when you look at what people are good at, this is economics. The economics of human expertise is really important to understand. If someone pulls out a guitar, there was a guy I knew as a teenager. He pulled out a guitar. He was a complete Springsteen freak. And he could just play everything that Springsteen had ever written and, all associated Springsteen clones, like Fogerty and all this kind of stuff and all that. And he could just play that stuff, that middle America, depressed, anxious, nihilistic rock. And everyone was like, wow, it's so cool that he could do all this great guitar stuff. And I did think it was cool, don't get me wrong. But what I also saw was all the books he hadn't read. Like everyone's like, that's great guitar. And I'm like, he's functionally illiterate. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. And the reason I know that is because I spent most of my teenage years playing sports and reading books and not learning guitar. And so I can play like 2 songs on a guitar, but I've read a lot of books. But people don't look at my book reading and say, wow, great use of time. Because nobody sits there and says, hey, man, read us some Dostoevsky at a party. Everyone's like, oh, you can play guitar? Cool. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just when you see something that someone's good at, the important thing to know is what's missing from that person. Or somebody in the chat room said, like role-playing games, your stats can't all be maxed out. I mean, then it's boring, right? At 18, 100 strength, 18/100 strength, right? And 19 wisdom, because I'm a great cleric, and 22 intelligence, because I'm a great wizard, and dexterity of 4,000, because I'm a great thief, and right? Constitution, because I'm a dwarf who's made of iron, whatever, right? So the reason that I'm saying all of this is that, skills are like government programs. Talents and visible abilities are like government programs. The point of government programs is to give you this visible benefit and have you ignore the hidden cost. And the point of obvious skills is to have you focus on a general perception of excellence, but every concentrated skill is the shadow cast by diffuse incompetence. Everything you focus on, everything you study, everything you become great at is a giant wall blocking the light out from any other plant you might have grown. Everything you're really great at is a direct marker of all the things you suck at because you're really great at something.
Saying yes to something means saying no to everything else.
Exactly. And we look at this competence and we think, wow, that guy, he's really great at guitar. What a great guy. It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with being really great at I'm not arguing against excellence here. I'm not arguing against being great at stuff. I've put 40,000 hours into philosophy. Do you know what that means? I suck at so much. It's ridiculous. I suck at so much. It's ridiculous. I'm terrible. Like at university, I would go to the library and I would read. Do you know what that meant? That meant I sucked at beer pong. I just didn't get those skills. I am not a pickup artist. Because, now, and not that I ever would be again, but that was never my thing. I never wanted to manipulate women that way. Because I just don't like people having power over me. And to manipulate someone is to act with the reality that they have power over you. The slave manipulates. The master commands. The manipulation is a sign of weakness. I don't know a sign of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Go for strength. So, your father is good at attracting women like your mom. And if you want a woman like your mom, then act like your dad. If you want to switch it up a little bit from who your mom is, no disrespect, nothing negative. Right? It's not like she set fire to your kitties or anything, right? So, but if you want to mix it up, then you're going to have to step into the world of incompetence. Because you have 19 years of training on how to act like your dad. And 19 years of training on how to interact with women like your mom. Right? Now,
All right.
if you want something different, then you're going to have to step out of that which is comfortable. And you are going to have to step out of that in which you are competent. Because competence will only get you the results of whoever taught you to be competent in.
All right. Well, so I have to get my fancy pants on and be Elvis or what?
Really? Are you just
No,
trying to
no.
annoy me now? Come on, I give you a speech like that and you're giving me something slightly mocky, slightly snarky?
Okay, sorry.
No, that was your dad, right?
That was me.
No, because I was saying you need to do something different than your dad did, and I got something snarky back, and I assume that would be coming from your inner dad. Because if you choose someone different from your mom, how's your dad going to feel?
Surprised.
And?
I'm not sure if he would feel disappointed, but
I don't think disappointed.
no.
Do you think it's a better relationship to be with an intellectual equal?
That's what it feels like. That's what it's leaning
Right.
towards.
I think there's a case to be made for it. I certainly wouldn't choose intellectual equality over virtue. But if you could, like, if your choice is between virtue and you're superior intellectually, or virtue and you're equal intellectually, I think that it's better, isn't it, to go with
To
someone.
prioritize virtue, it's
Well, but the virtue is equal. But if I'm not trying to guess your mom's IQ, but let's say you can have a virtuous woman with an IQ of 95, you can have a virtuous woman with an IQ of 150. And let's say your IQ is high, right? If your
Sure.
IQ is high, then wouldn't you want someone as smart as you? In other
I
words,
would.
if you really want to have a good game of tennis, then don't you want to play with someone if you're really good? Don't you want to play with someone
That you can
who's
have
really
a
good?
challenge with.
Yeah. That you lose half the time, right? Because that's winning. Losing half the time in a relationship is winning. It's growth. Right? The two best tennis players, if they lose to each other half the time, they're getting way better than if they were winning 99% of the time. In relationships, losing is winning if both people do it equally. So your father, by not having an intellectual equal, if that's the constellation of the marriage, it's not a moral issue. It's not a moral issue. But he is not as excellent a person as he could be if he had an intellectual equal. Now, if he had an intellectual superior, then the roles would be reversed, and
Indeed.
it wouldn't be optimum either, right?
No.
And the reason, I mean, it's all complicated stuff, and I'm sorry to be like firing the hose of info at you, but my daughter's just started playing cards, and she asked me if I played cards when I was a kid, and I said yeah, and did you like it? Yeah, sometimes. And she said, did you win a lot? And I said no. And she said, well, how come? And I said, well, I played a lot with my brother. My brother was older, and my brother was pretty competitive and always wanted to win. Now, when you're a couple of years older, it's not that hard to win, right? Now, when you're teaching your kid something, like when I was, my daughter loves to run, so when we were having running races, I was a runner when I was younger, a cross-country runner. And we have running races, then I run fast enough that it's work for her to beat me, but I don't go full out and it's like, eat my dust, 6-year-old. That would be, to me, kind of a dick move, right? So I want it to be challenging for her, so I don't like walk, because then it's not a race. But I also don't want to go as fast as I could possibly go, because like, I'm almost 6 foot tall. I mean, it's just not fair, right?
Indeed.
And so that where you're running neck and neck is where you go the fastest. In fact, they've done studies where they get bicyclists to race around a particular track. They're on bike machines or whatever, and they're pretending to race around a particular track. And they have them do it, I don't know, 10 times, the fastest they can possibly do it. And then what they do is they subtly change the algorithm so that it appears that they were going even faster. And then they say, can you beat your time? And they say, oh no, that was the fastest I could possibly do. And then they play it back, and it's true, they can't beat the time. But the time was sped up, and they end up beating the real time because the pretend time was sped up like 10%, and they end up being 5% slower, which was actually their prediction. I can't beat my fastest time, but they were still 5% faster than the actual time. A perception of victory, perception of loss is, in many cases and in many instances, reality of victory and reality of loss. When people compete against themselves, even if they think they're losing, they can still win. That's how neck and neck makes things better. And people say, well, what if there's a dominant company in an industry? Then that industry will die. It will die because there's no neck and neck. There's no neck and neck in that industry. The industry flourishes when it's neck and neck. Human beings accelerate when they're neck and neck. If somebody just beats you, you lose motivation. If you just beat someone, you get bored. Neck and neck is the definition of excellence. And I'm not a big fetishist for excellence. I'm just simply pointing it out. That if you do want the highest quality in your relationships, if you want the greatest excellence, then you want an equal, which means you want to lose half the time. You want to be beaten half the time.
Yes,
You
I
want
do.
to be vanquished and instructed half the time. And if your dad didn't want that, and you do, then he is going to, I'm guessing, I don't know your dad, I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes, then he is going to experience that you have more confidence than he does, or you're less shallow than he is, or whatever it is. It's going to be a challenge, and it's not a bad thing, because I mean, we can't simply photocopy everyone who went before us for fear that any different decisions we make might be looked at askance.
Oh, then there would be no development, no
There'd be no
moving
debate.
on.
My dad did not know fire. Put the magic burning tongues of light out. Because he'd be upset. He ate all his meat cold, right?
Yeah.
My daughter is not going to have to wait till she's in her 30s to get married if she wants to get married, because she won't be like Jesus in the desert of dead pussies for like I was in my 20s, right? Because she won't be born in the jungle and have to find her way to civilization. And that's going to be painful to me in the same way that her easy confidence in disagreeing with me is great. I love it. But I also recognize that there's great pain in familial progress. Because it's sad for me that she can so easily disagree with me and so assertively hold her ground in the face of disagreement. It's not like we have a lot, but, we do. And that she is so relentlessly unafraid of me is sad for me. Because I would love to have met the person I could have been had I grown up without fear. That would have been an amazing experience, which will never happen because I will never have grown up without fear in the way that my daughter grows up without fear. And so in all progress, there is pain. Of course there is. I mean, people pour heart and soul into developing a horse and carriage business, and then some jerkwad invents the car. And all of that money evaporates, and all the people who shoveled the shit off the streets of the cities now have to go pump gas. Well, maybe that's a step up. I'm sure it is, right? But so if you're going to make decisions that are different from your parents, again, I'm not saying this is any fundamental moral decision. This is an extreme. I'll shut up in a sec, and I apologize for going on so long. But this is an extreme way of putting it. But the man who is a janitor, whose son becomes a professor, it's bittersweet. No one can tell me that it's nothing but happy pride. The man who takes the easy road gains benefits in the short run. The man who takes the hard road often gains benefits in the long run. And what happens is, the man who took the easy road, his benefits are long gone by the time the benefits to the man who takes the hard road rolls around. And so at the beginning, the man who takes the hard road envies the other man. Later on, the man who takes the easy road envies the other man. If you go for intellectual equal, then it may be a little bit tougher at the beginning. I don't think it's true, but it could be. Because the difference is that I was older than you, right? Say you find someone tomorrow who's an intellectual equal, who can converse with you at this level, who can, like the thought that I've brought to you today about your mom and intellectual equals and so on. These are the kinds of conversations you should be having every day.
Oh, yeah, I would love to.
Right. I know you would. So when are you going to ask me out, you chicken? I'm kidding. But I know you, and why not? Why not aim for that? But that is going to be a challenge. It's going to be disorienting sometimes. And somebody with that, if you date a woman with this level of sensitivity, of curiosity, of insight, and so on, it's going to be bittersweet to your dad. This is why you're torn. There's something that you want, but you have a template, which if you go for what you want, it will be discombobulating to some degree to your parents. And so there is a commandment to do it from your heart, and there's a restraint from doing it from your parents. And I'm not saying consciously, I don't mean this maliciously on their part or anything like that, but it's really important to be aware of it, in my opinion.
So, a bumpy road.
Not necessarily. I think that loneliness and a lack of self-knowledge would be the real bumpy road.
Well, Yeah, that's not something I like, at least now.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Yes. This makes a whole lot of sense. I've been. I haven't noticed it until now. You're really talking on it on a deep level that I I have a need for a relationship, but I want someone. I want the best. Almost not necessarily the best, but an equal. And yeah, it's a lot to take in. It's
It
becoming
is, and
difficult.
this is the level. This is the level, in my opinion, that you need to be working at in order to meet your heart's desire. You got to go deep, because you got to be comfortable with deep when you meet a deep person, which is where love lives.
True. Wow. How long did you date?
My wife?
No. Before. How
Um,
long? How long did it
I
take
mean,
until
a
you
long
found?
time.
How long did it
Long
take?
time.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I can't remember. I mean, it was, I met my wife in my mid-30s, and I've been dating since my mid-teens, so yeah, a long time. And had society even given a shit about the hearts of men, then there would have been more instruction on how men could find great women
but
who are out there
it,
and are as frustrated with society as the MGTOWs and the men are. There are great women out there who are incredibly frustrated at
yes.
the way society makes us all relentlessly shallow and fundamentally sociopathic. It's tits, not heart, that counts, right? It's ass, not heart, that counts, right? Boobs, not brains. And the relentless shallowing out and easy physical stimuli is a drug that is regularly applied to the male penis, which blinds it to virtue.
But it took you so long because you were not as prepared as, uh, let's say for me, like I am now.
Well,
It took
I
you.
hope so. I mean, look, I try as best I can and to put out to men and to women what I think philosophically makes for a great relationship. I've seen both sides of the coin. I have a great relationship with my wife and had more physically based relationships in the past. And man, I mean, if I could go back, I mean, I wouldn't want my life to be different than it is now, but
No,
that doesn't mean
of
that
course
other
not.
people have to suffer through what I suffered through. You
No.
know, I'm like the
That
Marlboro
it,
man who's dying of lung cancer saying,
yeah.
don't
It's
smoke, right?
one of the reasons why I keep listening to your show, because I want to prepare myself for adulthood, for the great decisions in my life, so that I don't have to go through what a lot of other people had to, but they wish they didn't.
Right. Right. And I want, in particular, I want men to keep their hearts as pure as possible for the great women. Because, you know, when you are with dangerous women, when you're with harmful women, when you're with shallow women, when you're exploitive women, when you're with hypergamy-based life forms, it scars you. It makes you wounded. It makes you fearful. It makes you nervous. It makes you untrusting and untrustworthy in a way. And
It
you know, there's lots
does.
of complaints. There's lots of complaints from men around, and I get, and I really understand. There's lots of complaints of men around saying basically, you know, like 80% of the sex is achieved by like 5 or 10% of the guys. And I guess it's what,
Oh
90%
yeah.
of the 10% about it, right? And so these nice guys who don't have all of these, you know, hottie body, six packy, flowing hair, whatever looks, right? Tall in particular. We'll do a whole show on height prejudice, which is one of the most blatant and horrible forms of discrimination in the world today. But anyway, guys get really frustrated because they try to date these girls, and these girls are just going for these shallow, good-looking idiots.
Indeed.
And this all the way through their 20s, and then the women panic, and then when they get older and less attractive and they're more neurotic and they might have STDs, they're like, okay, I'll date you now, right? And the guys are like, no, I don't really want sloppy seconds from a whole daisy chain of alpha shallow cum dumpsters. No, thank you. And there's a lot of, but look, it goes both ways. Guys who get their hearts ripped out by some haughty vampire, are slim pickings for the good women as well. And so it just as men are frustrated that women go for looks, good women are frustrated that men go for looks. And again, having good looks is not a bad thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? But in our current culture, like too much sugar leads to diabetes, which can lead to blindness. And too much focus on physical attraction leads to a spiritual sickness that renders you blind to virtue. And health is great. Exercise is great. And I wouldn't want to be with a woman who couldn't go snowshoeing because she'd have a heart attack or something. It's just I like to be active.
Yes.
But don't, be careful. Guard your heart. Guard your sense of safety. Guard your vulnerability. Guard your open-heartedness. Because speaking on a ridiculously vain behalf of the world's future children, the future children of the world would say, we need our Father's heart to be open. We need our Father's heart to be capable of love. We need our Father's heart to be vulnerable. And if we are throwing ourselves against the brittle, dangerous, diamond-edged, jagged pill of a woman's mere physical attractiveness, then we are putting our most sensitive organ into the world's harshest blender, which is our heart, into the cruel hands of cruel people. So this is why I urge focus on virtue, focus on virtue. Hey, if it comes in hottie package too, great, so much the better. There's icing on your cake. But don't go for anything but the cake.
Thank you, Stefan.
That's
what I needed to hear.
All right. Well, let us know how it goes. And, if you get to a therapist, that would be, again, a good recommendation for me. And again, therapy, not because you're smashed up and broken, but because you want to do something different. Last analogy, right? So if my dad is a championship tennis player and I want to play tennis, I don't need an outside coach because I'm doing that which my family already has expertise in, right? However, if my dad is a couch potato and I want to become an expert tennis player, he can't teach me because I'm doing something different than what my dad does.
Indeed.
Right? If he wants to teach me how to use a dust buster to hoover chip dip out of my belly button, I guess I'm set. But if I actually want something else, then I'm not. So when you want to do something different from what your parents have given you, this is not a moral judgment, then an outside expert who's got more experience in those sorts of things is important, whether it's choosing someone not exactly the same as your mom or whether it's becoming an expert tennis player. So I hope that helps.
All right. This is great.
Okay, fantastic. And thank you again for, being open-hearted in this call. You've got a lot to offer a partner, man. I'm telling you that. You've got a lot to offer a partner. I mean, your sensitivity, your intelligence, your open-heartedness is really admirable, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's actually why I'm starting to question why I haven't found anyone yet. Which led me to asking this question in the first place. Right.
Well, hopefully this helps. And keep us posted.
Many of my friends would like to hear this as well.
Well, it's that I always loved that bit in the Bob Marley song, which I said before. It's like, I'm playing for mankind. He was that was his thing. He was playing for mankind, and I want this to go as wide as possible. I'm happy that we're hitting 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 people, but let's do 3 or 4 or 500 million. So I'm trying to make it as general as possible without, at the same time, not dealing with your, like I want to make sure I'm dealing with your stuff, but making it as general to be useful to others. So that's the type up. Anyway, let's move on to the next caller, but thanks very much for your call.
Bye.